So, Project Diesel Bike, where we are with the lathe that I was talking about building, you know, some hand mitts to ride a couple of 100 miles to pick it up. Eventually I decided to have it delivered by a courier instead, because I was a bit worried about how big it was, if I could get it on the bike. Actually I could at a push. I've got it on the bike. It's about, I think it's 36 inches wide. It's very old. It's about 60-80 year old, I don't know. It's and it's made by Picador, which was like a kind of a Meccano of its time. The travelling cross slide looks to be homemade, but to a very high standard. It needs a drive system to drive the cogs, which we're experimenting with making a drive system here with a motor from a floor cleaner, and I bought a variable speed AC drive to just adjust the speed a little bit because it ran too fast. But actually what I've decided to do, for the cost of these pillar drills, I can take a pillar drill which has got a nice about a 300 watt motor in it, and it's got all your gearing system in there. I could just take that off, turn it on its side, put a frame to it and drive the lathe with the chuck, and then I can change gear here in the gear change system. Use this to alter my lathe speed. So that, I bought that second hand. I think that was £50. I can pick another one up for the same price, and I'll convert a pillar drill into the lathe drive. And regarding the other bits, that's me Volkswagen Touran front wheel hub. Now I've sawn that up, cut various bits off it to give me that. That's going to be me on my back swinging arm. There's the Honda Quad mid-drive unit. That's off a 350 Honda Quad. Is it going to be big enough for the job? Yes and no. I mean, with any final drive, it's not like a chain. You can blow up a final drive quite easily if you abused it. If you've got a just shaft drive motorcycle and you want to start doing wheelies on it, your back driving going to last very long. I mean, I was watching a YouTube video of a guy with a muscle car, I think it's a Corvette, and he's doing a sort of a drag start, and he's revving it up and dumps a clutch and the back axle explodes. You know, they won't take that kind of abuse. So I think if I ride it sort of half right in my head, I think that'll take it, and if it don't, it'll have to be rethought. There's me Volkswagen wheel. That's going to serve as a rear wheel. That obviously mates with the Volkswagen Touran hub. So that's the wheel sorted out. I need a disc. The car parts, very cheap. Motorcycle parts, very expensive. That's the Honda Goldwing GL 1200 front end with the 7/8 inch bars. Still some more to go there, more bits to buy. It's well up to the job. I mean, the size of it. I need discs, calipers, fork brace, brake balancer pipe, air balancer pipe. Now unfortunately, one of the problems with buying these GL 1200 parts is the missing, nearly all the forks are either missing the fork clamps at the top yoke, Oh, the bottom clamps at the bottom. So the fork clamps at the top up, it came with one fork clamp, and I bought another set of fork clamps, and when I came they were 1 inch, and the fork top yoke is a 7/8 inch, so I've got one that fits, one that doesn't. I've had to drill the holes out, and it's too big, so it'll either have to be packed with a little bit of anything, mild steel, copper, I don't know, or at some point get another one. Now the problem at the bottom end was most of the forks, we've zoomed in somehow, most of the forks are missing the bottom clamp, so I've made some. Bottom clamps out of steel. I had an old box spanner, circular box spanner, which I cut in half, filed it out inside so it'd take the spindle, cut it in half, welded on a, what is that, 3/8 inch piece of flat steel, drilled a couple of holes in it, bolted it up. I mean, once my lathe is running I can maybe make something more elegant than that, but I think it would certainly be strong enough. Basically, yeah, I might even ride it like that, to be honest. I'm quite happy with it. It's not doing much, it's only holding the wheel in place, so the weight of the bike pressing down on the spindle holds it there. It only wants to leave that spindle when the forks go up, so if you hit a bump and it lifts up, so it's only holding the weight of the wheel. And like I say, it's massive chunky steel. Welded it together with 6010 rods on full power on me arc welder. 6010 rods are not general purpose welding rods, they are the ones that really gouge in and really bite into the steel. I'm happy, that's certainly a good weld. It didn't even need to have to be welded together, because I could have just left it 2 bolts, the plate, the half round. Didn't have to weld it together, I only welded it together so when you take the bolts off you don't have 2 pieces of steel falling, and it's easy to put back together. So I'm happy with that. It could be modified. So that's where the project is at the moment. This is a long-term project. It certainly won't be happening in 3 months or 6 months. So I'm doing also my electric bike projects, getting into 18650 batteries and building electric bikes. But I really do want to build a turbo diesel bike. We're talking about twice the torque of, you know, the biggest Harleys. Something that you don't see every day. I mean, calling it a bike meeting, not you're going to be the only guy there on a diesel bike. So onwards and onwards.